that we are going to be applying all over the program. Remember, the first two modules, we are just introducing you to the documentation, because business administration and administration in general is all about documentation. Administrators deal with a whole lot of documentation. So it is very important that at the beginning of the program, we familiarize you with the theory behind this documentation. So if you are gonna join the administrative field, you should be prepared to be dealing with documents and documents and documents. There's no planning without documentation in administration. That is the administration in general, dealing with documentation. And part of this documentation is writing reports, business reports. So when you are writing reports, the language and the formatting that you use there is different from the writing and formatting you do when you are writing general writing, you are writing a news article or just a general report. Remember, I said what differentiates business communication from other forms of communication is simply the format. There's a format that is required for specific writings in business. That is what we call corporate communication. It's only the format or the formats that we have that differentiates all those forms of writing. So today we are going to look at the theory behind reports. What is the concept behind reports, and also what are the types of reports that we have? Why is reporting important? And what are the principles that we should have in each and every report? So that when you join any company, you can be able to be in charge of reporting, you can be able to produce meaningful documentation. So basically that is what we just gonna cover in a few minutes to come, such that by the end of this session, you simply have an idea of what reporting entails, and also going forward now, the topics that we are going to be dealing with going forward will require you to write reports with different aspects. So it is important that you know how to structure a report in general, so that as we go forward, when I tell you to write, to explain something in the form of a report, some concept on maybe service contracts in form of a report, you are going to be able to apply the concept that we are going to explain today. So let's look at the concept of a report. Before I start explaining, are my slides moving very well?
Yes.
Can people confirm that my slides are moving? Okay, thank you so much. So, as I said, reporting, administrative reporting is simply the format. So a report is actually an organized presentation. It's an organized presentation of information. That is simply what a report in general is. So by organized, we mean that it should follow a specific format. You do not write a report. You do not write a report the same way you write an essay. It should show that it is a report because it has a format. Then another thing that distinguishes a report from other form of writing is the objective. objectiveness of the report. That is, when you are writing a report, you should try as much to be balanced. You should not express your personal feelings when you are writing a report. A report should always be balanced. If you are writing a report on politics in South Africa, if you support a specific political party, you should not be biased. You should just report on politics, not report politics being biased on your political party. If you are reporting on the state of football in the country, for example, you should just report football as it is. If you support another football club, maybe you support Black Leopards or Orlando Pirates, you should not be biased towards those teams. A report should just be factual and not influenced by your personal feelings. That is basically a report. Using a format, that is one thing, and also trying to be balanced. That is how we write reports. So in your reports that you are going to produce going forward, these are some of the things we will be assessing on. Is your report biased? Are you organized? Are you not expressing personal feelings? All those things. So we shall explain those things as we go forward. So one thing we should actually take note of is that in administration, reports are very important. Paperwork amounts to reporting. So there's no way you are going to avoid reporting as long as you are in the field of administration. You have to write reports. So that is why I highlighted in red ink here that you definitely write reports as long as you are in administration. There's no way you avoid writing reports. So, but however, in this program, we are going to actually articulate to you how to write reports that are professional, technical, and also easy to read for any business that you are going to join. The good thing is about reporting is that whether you are in mining or banking or any other industry, the structure and format of the report remains the same. It's only the technical jargon that may be different, but the structure will remain the same. So that is basically what a report is. Any questions so far? Do we have any questions? Okay, let's look at the objectives. Why do we write reports? The main objective is to communicate. So a report is a means of communication between various departments of the organization or between various functions of the organization. And also, we also write reports to satisfy the needs of some of the parties in the organization, like our managers, our shareholders. They need to know what is happening. So informational needs of our stakeholders, basically, we satisfy them through writing reports. Then reports also serve as a record. We need to keep records in each and every organization for future references, so that we keep the organization stable. We can always refer to what happened previously so that we avoid future mistakes. That is also another reason for writing reports. Then also, we need also to comply to legal requirements. There are some reports that are needed maybe on a quarterly basis, like health and safety reports. You need to report those on a quarterly basis. That is a legal requirement. The government needs you to report on health and safety of your organization. We have income statements for tax purposes. SARS tax returns are also part of reports. Those are needed each and every year by South African Revenue Services. So that is reporting for legal requirements. We report for the sake that the government needs that information. Then also, if you want, we also write reports to measure our performance as an organization. Then also for control purposes. By control in business, we mean we are measuring our outcomes versus what we have planned. That is, did we meet our target or not? That is what control simply means in business. Did we deviate from what we have planned? So we write reports to actually say, we have achieved this or we have failed in this regard. We didn't achieve our objectives. That is the meaning of the word control in business. That is why we see in our, maybe those who are doing stock taking, the title of the register there, stock register, may be stock control, which means it's a register to actually check if we are using more stock or less stock as planned. That is what we mean by the word control. So it is also a type of reporting that we also have. So those are some of the reasons why we need to have reports. Then we want to look at what does a good report look like. We call those principles of a good report, principles of administrative reporting, which actually details what a good report should look like. So the first principle, we have the principle of completeness. By completeness, we mean a report should actually contain all the relevant information that it's supposed to contain. If it's a report on health and safety, it's supposed to contain all the information on health and safety. If it's a report on stock, it's supposed to contain all the relevant information of the various stock items that we have in the organization. That is the first principle. Then the second principle is that it should be legitimate. That is, a report should be written according to specific standards. Each and every organization has got its specific standards that it sets on what a report should contain, so that it should be legitimate. For example, we have some organizations that have got templates. We have templates in your organization whereby if you are writing a specific report, you use a specific template. Those are the standards. Otherwise, if you write a report on a wrong template, that report will not be legitimate, irregardless of the fact that it contains the relevant information, but it's not legitimate because it's on the wrong template. Just like a police case, if it's not on a police docket, police have got dockets. If your case is not on a docket, then that is not legitimate. It's just on another piece of paper. So legitimate means you are using these acceptable standards to produce a specific report. Then by user-friendliness, we mean that a report should actually communicate easily without using too much technical jargon to the intended recipient. People should find it easy to read, and your information should just be consistent, and the paragraphing, full stops, punctuations, all those items we covered in principles of communication, just basic writing skills, whereby your paragraphs should be clear, the introduction should be clear, body and conclusion should actually be clear. That is what consists user-friendliness. Anyone else can read that report and learn from it and be able to study it and give recommendations. Then reliability. As I explained on the concept of a report, that a report should be objective. It means by reliability, your report should be free of bias and anyone can verify the facts. So if it's a report about an injury that took place at the workplace, anyone can verify that information. Anyone can know that maybe Mr. Peter is at the hospital. This report is genuine. So those facts in the report should be able to be verified by everyone. That is what we mean by reliability. Any questions so far? Do we have any questions? Okay, no questions. Okay, let's move to the fifth principle, that is consistent. So by consistent, we mean that your current report, in terms of formatting and all the aspects, should not be different from the previous reports. That is why many companies have got templates so that they ensure that there is consistency. So the form of reporting should be consistent. If it's a paper, if we use paper to report certain items in the organization, it should be paper throughout. We cannot have some reports in electronic form and some reports in paper form. That there will be no consistency there. And also the methods of reporting should be consistent, should be same. The current report should be reported using the same methods as previous reports. That is consistent. So consistent simply means maintaining a standard. Sabelo, do you have a question?
No. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry.
Okay. Then let's look at the principle of timeliness. I am just going through these principles, but I have made sure that I prepare a very detailed presentation because this is important. And this presentation is also on the portal. You find that it's the last item. I think it's 2.3 on this present. You can go through it because it's one of the most important sections that we are going to be using throughout the program. So let's move to the principle of timeliness. So timeliness simply means a report should speak to a specific time frame. That is why we have weekly reports. It speaks specifically to that week. We have a daily report. It will speak specifically to a specific day. So there's no report that will take us back to 1976. A report should just speak to a specific time. Quarterly report, it speaks specifically to the first 3 months of the year. We have annual reports that speak specifically to a specific year. So that is what we mean by the principle of timeliness, that your report should not be haphazard. Sometimes it is reporting daily issues, sometimes it's reporting, you can't report daily issues and weekly issues and quarterly issues in one report. If you are reporting quarterly issues, make sure you combine everything into 3 months. You can't report daily issues in a quarterly report. So that is what we mean by timeliness. Your report should have specific timing. That is why you find, for example, the Reserve Bank governor can actually present a quarterly report that during this quarter, the economy was doing well, but you are not having the same feeling. You see that you feel that the economy is doing bad because the governor is reporting on quarterly issues. During the quarter, the economy may have performed very well, but you on your daily life, the economy is not performing very well. So that gives different perceptions, but the only difference is that the governor is speaking in quarterly basis, not on daily basis, so that the trends there may be different. So the principle of timeliness is very important when you are coming up with a report. Then lastly, we have the principle of comparability, which simply means you can be able to study 2 reports of the same type. Maybe it's a financial report. You may be able to compare them to say, last year, our profit, we reported a profit of 1,000 rands. This year, we reported a profit of 5,000 rands. 2 similar reports should be able to be compared, and people or the management of your organization can learn from them. This morning I was reading about crime statistics. They were comparing previous reports and the current report, and they were saying there has been a decline of about 17%, which means there was good reporting that was done if they can be able to compare previous year's statistical reports with the current year's statistical reports. That is what we mean by comparability, that we can use a report to measure our performance as an organization. So those are the 7 principles of a good report. So every time you compare a report, you should keep those principles at the back of your mind, because those are things that anyone, or even a shareholder or external people specifically, they pick on those issues, and you find that as the one who compile that report, people will actually come up with many questions and solutions from a report that you have compiled. So to avoid any form of questions and queries, confusion, a report should simply stick to these 7 principles. Any questions this far? Do we have any questions? Right, let's move to the forms of administrative reports. What forms do we, what ways do people report? So we have an old-fashioned way of reporting, that is oral reports, where people simply do report by the word of mouth, but there are a lot of disadvantages of using oral reports. That is, we looked at disadvantages of oral communication, and the main disadvantage was there is no form of evidence that remains. When I speak something and we do not document it, there's no documentation that that report is authentic, and we cannot go back and refer back to those facts. And oral reporting can also change. So people, or many organizations, they do not use oral reporting. It's not very popular in most of the organization. So reports usually take the form of the other three remaining forms of administrative reporting. That is a descriptive form, where you actually write a description of what happened. Maybe there was a COVID-19 case in your department or your unit. You write a descriptive report explaining how the person conducted COVID-19. Then a report can take the form of a comparative statement, whereby you are reporting on whether you have met the standards you have set. Each and every department or unit, you have your set standards to say this is what we need to achieve, maybe on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. So with a comparative statement, you are actually reporting whether you went above the bar you have set or you are below the target that you have set as an organization. Then you may report in the form of diagrams. I think we have seen diagrams, graphs, graphical presentation, or just pictures. They're a form of reports, other than writing paragraphs and paragraphs. Usually NGOs, national government organizations that are into giving aid and so forth, they use mainly pictures to say, no, we went to this place where there is war, we gave out food and clothing, these are the pictures. That is a report. So it's also another form of a report to use pictures. So these are some of the forms that reports can take. Then we have technical reports that use Gantt charts, especially projects, which the concept of Gantt charts, don't mind about it right now. We are going to do it in detail, and everyone will be able to actually plan for a project. This is project management. We are going to have a unit standard on project management later in the year, where we'll be drawing these Gantt charts and also break-even charts, which simply shows the cost and revenue structure of an organization. So these are two technical reports, but we are going to be looking at them as we go through the year. Any questions this far before I touch on? So these are some of the administrative reports, monthly reports, progress reports, research reports. We are going to actually, by the end of this program, every one of you should be able to prepare these reports. And these reports, we are going to cover them in the modules that are coming. We do the technicalities of maybe service management. There are reports that actually applies to services management on this list. We are going to look at asset management. There are reports that actually speak to asset management. We are going to look at administration services. There are reports that looks at the admin part of the organization. So all these type of reports, by the end of this program, each one of you should be able to compile these reports so that when you actually go deeper into administration, you actually be a self-starter. Right, so these are just examples. So basically, what distinguishes a report from other sources of writing, it's simply the format. That is why on the screen, you can see the report writing format, which basically each and every report should have a title, and instead of ending with a summary, each and every report starts with a summary. That is, you should tell people what is in the report before they start reading the report. You should give them a clue from the introductions to the conclusions to what exactly is contained in the report. Because you find that senior management, board of directors, they do not have enough time to go through the technicalities of the document. So most of them, they usually end at this executive summary. You should be able to compile a user-friendly and a very meaningful summary for a report, which we are going to, everyone is going to learn how to compile an executive summary, because this is everything. This is the whole report. Then, as usual, a report should have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Those are the basics of writing: introduction, body, and conclusion. And those concepts starts from level 1 of learning, but we are going to be refreshing them as we go. Then appendices. Appendices are simply attachments. These are the technical documents, 2 technical documents. Like you were explaining about financials. You are giving a report on financials. Your appendices should now attach those financial statements, like your income statement, your balance sheet, your cash flow statement, your changes in equity, your shareholder structure. Those are technical documents. So these are simply in day-to-day English, it's simply attachments. But you do not just attach simple documents. Those are technical documents. You attach the graphs. So you only attach them at the end of the report if they are available. So if it is stock taking, there in the appendices, that is where you attach the detailed stock record or your stock sheet. After reporting that we had how many breakages and we bought how many items, you attach the final document at the end. So appendices are simply attachments to a report. So that is the structure or format of a report. Very basic. but the technicalities is what is important. So here I just listed them in a simple format where we have the body of the report, which is simply the introductions, your findings, and your recommendations. That is what is important. Where else? So usually when you are writing a report, you start by writing the body of the report. That is your introduction, findings, conclusion, and what you recommend before writing any other parts. When you finally complete these 4 sections, that is where you go on and write your executive summary, and you also create your table of contents and your appendices. That is how you actually go about writing a report. So this structure, we are going to be following this structure as we move forward. But for now, what is important is to know the theory. We know the theory as of now. Going forward, we will do the practical, because the upcoming modules will require us to write all the content in either report format or graphs and all those type of reporting. So as of the types of reports, I have a chart on the screen. Is it visible? Is my
Not
chart
clear, Mr. Kelvin.
Yes.
okay? So with types of reports, when you speak of type of reports, it is a very broad concept. We do not have 5 or 10 types of reports. What you can say about a report is you can group it in terms of why are you reporting. So we have internal reports. It can be an internal report or an external report. By internal report, it means you are writing just for the people within your organization. That is an internal report. If you work for Bidvest, and if that report is addressed to any Bidvest unit or department, that is an internal report, or Bidvest management or Bidvest board of directors is still an internal report. Then external report, you are writing this report for people who are not associated with your organization. You are sending a tax returns to the government, that is external reporting. Then, so I talked about internal and external reporting. Internal meaning you are writing to people within your organization. External, people who are off your campus. Then we write also a report on the basis of the nature of the report. That is it a business report? Is it a stock control report or just an investigative report? So this is also another form of reporting. So there is nothing called types of reports. It depends on what you are writing the reports for. So someone should not ask you how many types of reports do we have. Otherwise, we have hundreds and hundreds of reports. We have creditors reports, debtors reports. which just reports on who owes us money. It's a report on its own. Creditors report, who do we owe money? It's just a report on its own. So there are hundreds, if not thousands, of types of reports. So no one should. Then we also have routine reports. I have talked about daily reports, quarterly reports, and annual reports. Then we have also special reports. That is also another category of reporting, where you report on immediate changes or urgent issues that are happening in an organization. Someone resigns, you do not plan a resignation. I can just wake up and say, I'm resigning today. That would be a special report to say, Mr. Kelvin has left the organization due to 1, 2, 3 reasons. It's a special report. So there are those reports where immediate decision needs to be taken. There's a change in technology in the industry, you write a special report. Changes in market movements, you write a special report. Then also we have got financial reports. I talked about creditors and debtors report, operating reports, which shows usually done on a daily basis to just measure productivity in the organization, and also to report, just to compare reports among business units. Those are operating reports. Right, so the last part of the presentation, it simply deals with the format of the reports. So if I want you to go and check on the report that I uploaded on the portal, it now extends to the format of report. What is an executive summary? It will tell you what is an executive summary. These are the things that we are going to be doing going forward. So as of now, just study and learn on it. What is an executive summary? What is an introduction, and how do you write it? Of which I am going to teach you on how to write an introduction as we look on genuine topics of business administration, background of any form of reporting, background of any issue. How do you write a background? What is a background? So a background is simply on what we know, what we have in the organization. That is a background. Methodology, we are going to concentrate on various methodologies that are used in administration. So I want you to go and, how do you compare results? I want you to go and look at all these remaining slides. I've made them to be much more detailed. How do you recommend? So in a report, it's a matter of being factual and also avoiding personal feelings when compiling